Hi there, Danny Flexen. Welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday, 4:30 p.m. In the past, to concentrate on the boxing that's just taken place at the weekend, but it's been a long time, or it feels like even longer, since we've had any live boxing to comment on. So it tends to be whatever pops into my head when I film it, which may or may not meet with your approval, but beggars can't be choosers, unfortunately, while all this is going on. We don't know how long it's going to be before we've got any live boxing to talk about. So what I'm going to talk about today instead is just a bit of what I've learned from the interviews I've done over the past couple of weeks, which have been either through Skype, Facebook video, or audio over the phone, and then translated into video for the purposes of the SecondsOut YouTube channel. And there's three key kind of topics that keep coming up, and the first is training and how difficult it is now for boxers who really need that routine in their lives. They train 2, maybe 3 times a day, most of them, and how difficult it is now for them to adapt to not being able to go to the gym with all the gyms being closed. And not only that, not being able to mix with your gym mates and your trainer. I think that's incredibly important. I mean, they're all still in touch on the phone and group chats and so on, but I think a lot of them have spoken to people from Tony Sims's gym and other gyms, Adam Booth's gym, and they're all finding it quite difficult not being able to see their mates and their trainer on a daily basis. And you get used to it and you enjoy it. And it's kind of, I feel for them in a way. And don't get me wrong, I'm well aware of the wider or the bigger picture here. And that's something that's come through strongly from all the interviews I've done, is that the boxers and the people in the boxing industry are well aware of their kind of small part in the wider conversation about a global pandemic that's tragically seeing a huge loss of life. And a lot of the boxers and people in the industry have indeed been touched by that themselves. I know Anthony Yard, we've seen on social media, it's been put out, he's lost 2 close family members now to coronavirus. And I think there's other boxers and trainers and stuff I've spoken to. Craig Richards actually had coronavirus and thankfully recovered from it. So he's talked about that in an interview we put out on SecondsOut today. But getting back to the topic, they are struggling away from the gym. Some of them have got really good environments at home. I know Martin Ward, his brother's got a nice little setup that they call the Home of Champions, where they've got bags and they can do pads together and stuff like that. I don't know if there's boxers out there who've been teaching their wives or significant others to hold the mitts properly, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. It's just very difficult now, and unless you've got that sort of setup, a big garden or a garage or a huge spare room, it's a tough adaptation. I think a lot of them are using their environment, which I highly recommend, as long as you keep your social distance, of course, and boxers, more as much as anyone, don't want to catch it, because it could mean not just potential hospitalisation and so on, but also 4 weeks out of your career or a fight camp when boxing does resume. But yeah, use your environment. We spoke to Hamza Shiraz, who was using his local park to do kind of pull-ups on trees and various types of groundwork. Most boxers are still going for their runs where they can, out and about, getting that fresh air. And just from a kind of mindset, a mental health perspective, it's really important to keep doing that for everyone, not just athletes. So there's the training side of it, and then there's the nutrition and dieting side, which must be incredibly problematic for boxers right now. They've been rid of the temptation of going out with their mates. All the restaurants are closed, the pubs are closed, no one's going out. So that part of it, brilliant. But the flip side is they're used to training, as I say, 2 to 3 times a day. Some of them work as well, either part-time or full-time. And now they're stuck at home. They might not see it as stuck at home, that sounds really harsh. They're getting to spend some quality time at home with their family. But that routine has been taken away from them. And some of the time they will be bored. There's no set date when this is all going to end. So they might be a bit fearful, stressed, a little bit depressed for some of them perhaps as well. And these are all triggers for eating, comfort eating, overeating. I should know, right? But I'm not a boxer, so it's kind of all right for me to kind of eat through the house, but not so much for them. And they're going to give themselves, if they do that, they're going to give themselves a mountain to climb when boxing does come back, and they might not be ready for those shows, which I expect when it does return to come thick and fast. There'll be a bit of a bottleneck. Mick Condon's out there baking cakes every day, apparently not eating much of them, so that's good. But yeah, baking cakes every day. So he's at least channeled his energies into something worthwhile, which is really nice to see. But I'm sure the kind of dieting side must be really tough. And then the third aspect, and possibly the most important for boxers at the moment, again, never losing sight of the bigger picture here, boxers don't get paid unless they fight. So they have to pull out for training expenses, the right nutrition. A lot of them use kind of meal prep companies and that kind of thing. License, medical costs to the board of control, various things that they have to pay for. And a lot of them would have had fights either cancelled or they would have expected to fight by now, and they can't until boxing resumes. And that's going to be the tough part, especially for boxers at the lower end of the spectrum. The higher up you go, there might be promoters, managers who help take care of you. You've probably got sponsors as well who, they still pay you either a monthly fee or, payment in kind in terms of either a car and meal prep sometimes, that kind of thing. And they might just about be all right. They might have some savings from having big fights in the past as well, so they're set. Boxers at the lower end of the spectrum, kind of fighting from paycheck to paycheck, especially ones who normally work at the same time and can't at the moment. It's going to be really, really tough for them, especially with no end in sight, which means it's very hard to do financial planning as well. So it's kind of hard to draw many positives from the current situation. They're kind of three things that I've outlined that are all got elements of negativity, unfortunately. But if I had to pluck out positive from speaking to boxers and people in boxing over the last couple of weeks, it's just how magnanimous and selfless they are. So a lot of them have donated money or supplies to the NHS. A lot of them are doing workouts on social media to share with people while they're at home and they can't get out and do exercise. They're helping other people to exercise. And they're just generally, from the interviews, being really positive about when it's coming back, praising the NHS and other services, talking about the bigger picture and kind of condolences to people they've lost, but telling people to stay inside, using their platform for good and sharing the right messages. And all of that just paints boxing in a really good light. It makes me proud to play a small peripheral role in the sport. I can't speak for other sports, but boxing has come out of this pretty well compared to anyone else, I think. Boxers they've got every reason to be down at the moment, more so than other elements of society in terms of the finances and the inability to train, which is something they've done pretty much every day for most of their lives in some cases. But they're not, at least on the surface, letting it get them down, and they're using their platform and the extra time they've got on their hands in a lot of cases to spread positive messages and to keep people occupied while all this is going on. So credit to all of them. And I'll have to think of something to talk about for Thursday for FlexPectations, 4:30 p.m, and ReFLEXions next Monday at 4:30 p.m. And I'm sure I will. I haven't struggled yet. It's only 2 weeks in, and I haven't quite started going crazy yet either, but stay tuned. It could happen on camera. Really appreciate your time. Comment below on what I've just talked about, and I'll respond to some of them. Really appreciate it. See you soon. Cheers.